I made two changes to the deck. They're actually old changes that I tested in a prior configuration of this deck that I didn't like. Now I'm trying again to see if they've become better because the deck itself's become better and supports them better. Those changes are to add Serra Ascendant and Dark Confidant in. Dark Confidant's interesting because it plays this weird role that is missing from the deck, the Sylvan Library slot. Whereas before you could muddle into card drawing, it's very difficult now. You have to muddle into demonic into card drawing, or vault. Confidant can just be that card, and also if you could play Sylvan Library, like I'm talking about like the 5-color version of the deck, you could first turn Tutor, second turn Sylvan. Now you have something like that again, where they have to answer it immediately. You start drawing cards. Serra Ascendant's just completely powerful, very ridiculous. Many planeswalkers die to her. She can hold off an army. She can win a game quickly. You can occasionally just get an Ascendant Metamorph draw and just smash someone to death. And she also combos really well with Well of Lost Dreams. We'll see if these changes hold, but so far, it seems pretty reasonable to use two of the most overpowered and undercosted threats in the format. To fit them in, I took out Memory Lapse and I took out Sculpting Steel. I did take something out, so I took out the cards that were the weakest among strong cards. So now, to take a look at some of the games here, I've got 10 games for you. In the first one, my opponent is playing Endrick Sar, and I'm playing second. And here's one of those possible like Imperial Seal Dark Confidant hands. However, because I have Scroll Rack in it, I'm probably not going to go that route. I'm going to go get Land Tax. So I do. And he has Mimic Vat Braids. What a powerful combination this is. Very powerful, very not, but not as powerful as Scroll Rack. So anyway, during my upkeep, I float a blue, let Braids happen, let the tax happen, and then go ahead and spend the blue so that I can go fetch Demonic Tutor. I Demonic for Mana Crypt and Crypt into Scroll Rack. So he puts Braids under a Mimic Vat, says go, and at the end of his turn, he activates Mimic Vat. So this won't die till the end of my turn. And now he's got a one-sided Braids. It's affecting me, but not him. So during the upkeep, I go ahead and just float a blue, land tax again, and then spend the blue to Scroll Rack all of my mana away, and most of my other cards as well. And then I go ahead and draw for the turn. So you can see like Braids is 3 mana Edict for a permanent is not getting him there. He's falling farther and farther behind, and he's killing a permanent every turn. So for whatever reason, he searches for another land. Don't agree with wasting a tutor on something like that, unless he's got some, I don't know, Mind Sludge or something. So anyway, same play. Tap of mana, resolve the Braids, sack the land, resolve Scroll Rack, put the cards I want on top, and then draw a bunch more mana and go ahead and brainstorm into the cards that I wanted. I get everything into play like this and pass for the turn. So I have Humility, and I could have Humilitied here, but what I'm actually doing, I'd rather just hold a counter in case he went and got something like Nevinyrral's Disc. And I would also, I don't mind him spending 3 mana to do this Braids thing because it's not affecting me at all. I'm going to be able to sacrifice a land to it every turn while developing. So he's spending 3 mana every turn to basically, disrupt me, but he's not developing over there, and I'm fine with that. However, here I've got a plan. So at the end of his turn, I decide what I'm going to do is I'm going to just rift the Braids, and then on my turn, I was planning on going ahead and playing land and then getting Shackles down. So he would end of turn getting Humility down. So then, that way next turn I don't have to sacrifice anything. I go ahead and tax up, play another land, use the mana off of this and a couple others, and play Humility with the counter spell up. And from there, he's just making crappy 1/1s. But in the face of Cyclonic Rift, I guess he gives up. I think he realized like how useless the Braids was every turn, which is pretty amazing because he went first and he got it on turn 3. I mean, when he played Braids, I had 2 lands in play. That's it. He played Braids against 2 lands and lost. That's a pretty good sign for this deck. So here, I've actually got a Confidant draw, so we get to see how good that might be. So I play first turn Misty Rainforest. He searches for mana. I go ahead and sack, and second turn Dark Confidant. He has no removal for it, so I get to start drawing extra cards, and I go ahead and get a Mind Twist, Mystical Tutor. So I play Coalition Relic, and I'm just chilling out on the Mystical and Demonic. I was planning to charge the Relic and then Mystical for mana drain, but he kills it, so I go ahead and just tap it for blue just to get him to declare his attack step in case. On the off chance that he actually had something he wanted to cast prior to attacking, might as well make it look like I have a counterspell. So good Mystical end of turn. Same thing that I plan to do anyway. Go get the mana drain. It's just going to take a little bit longer to Mind Twist him, that's all. So play another Source of Blue. Demonic Tutor for Soul Ring, and play that after declaring my attack step. That way, if he had a counterspell and I wanted to counter back or something along those lines, I would get the mana on my next turn and not on this turn. So Dark Confidant winning the game, as he has won many games ever since his printing. So I Confidant for Island, and then go ahead and just say declare my attack step again, and then go for his hand. Mind Twist is 5. Boom. He has a counter, so I go ahead and mana drain that, and I'll get 2 mana next turn to help me play my Staff of Nin. So in his turn he gets Biden of Thassa. That's very cool. What a nice little top deck for him. So he gets to start drawing cards. I mean, I could trade the Confidant here and give him no cards, but I can permanently draw extra cards, and with Staff of Nin in my hand, I'm just going to shoot this little guy anyway. And so it's not worth stopping him from drawing a card to kill off my Dark Confidant. So I go ahead and draw. Oh, even better, I get a Trinket Mage. So I play Trinket Mage, recast the Ancient Tomb, basically off the Calney there, basically being nearly free. I go ahead and play Staff of Nin, kill his guy right away, cast the Trinket Mage, get a top out, and now I can use top and Confidant if I want to cut back the damage that I'm taking a little bit. Since I have Ascendant in the deck, I do kind of try to protect my life total a little bit. Plus, I have so much mana that actually at this point it may even be... well, I'm going to be drawing 3 cards a turn, so never mind on that. But I can probably afford to just spend 1 and try to put a land on top if I really wanted to. Anyway, so I started drawing. So I draw Rift. Decide I'm not even going to bother with the top. I'll just start using top at the end of his turn. I mean, at this point, like, is a little bit of damage, but whatever. The card I flipped though is Forbid, and before I even get to my draw step, he says that's a backbreaker. Good game. Yeah, I think Forbidden with 3 cards a turn is probably game over. So Dark Confidant, completely better than either of the 2 cards I removed right there. Totally owned that game. That's why I like him. So here I'm playing against Nekusar the Mind Razor. I've got a great hand. It's got both kinds of disruption, creature and non-creature, and Mind Twist for the win, game-winning plan. So I go ahead and just get Seal down in advance of whatever it is he might do. Although I suppose I could Muddle there, but I just didn't anticipate having a target for Muddle, and so I'd rather just maximize mana usage. He transmutes into Temple of the False God. Turns out that I had none. The other thing is, like, if I fake a counterspell, he's going to hang out, like, not want to cast anything. I kind of want him to tap out so that I could Mind Twist him this turn. So hopefully I draw an artifact. Well, I don't. But I did think about maybe Vindicating here, but realized I've got a window. I can take 5 out of 7 cards. It's too juicy. Just hit those and then follow up with Vindicate on a land, and this game should be over. So X is 5, and I get... bam. Land. Oops. Land. Counterspell. This stupid thing. And not his Temple, which is the one card I didn't want to hit, since he's never going to get 5 mana. Totally awesome. So he scoops it up. So here I'm playing against Storm Master T, running Momer Vig, Simic Visionary. And I've got a good hand, but I make a misplay here on accident. I was a little bit distracted, and I end up paying for it. So the intent here was to play turn 2 Merchant Scroll for Mana Drain, and then from there just chill out, because any Mana Drain just sends me, like, to the moon. but I misplay and I don't scroll. So now I'm a turn behind. I merchant scroll for mana drain, but I have to discard, so I throw away Imperial Seal since I've already got plenty of... I don't need to seal. Now I have to throw away Vindicate since there aren't that many good targets for me, and I plan to mana drain whatever good target will show up, plus, you know, white-black, and I've got neither. He doesn't give me any target. So now I throw away Liliana Vess, I think. Yeah, I could have played Winter Orb there, but I wasn't sure. I didn't know that he was going to activate Fertilid, and if I played Orb, he probably wouldn't have, and then he could have cast, you know, Momer Sig or whatever he wanted to cast for 5 mana. That probably wouldn't have worked out too well for me. So he's up to 6 mana. I finally get a land, but it's still not. I've got 3 of my 4 basic islands. Still, if you're going to have basic lands, I mean, that's fine with me. So he plays this, and I thought, you know, maybe I should counter it so he doesn't get strip mine, but no, he can have it. It's not juicy enough for mana drain, but he gets Cavern of Souls. Ouch. So, and then he names Shaman. He doesn't. Momer Sig is not a shaman. It's an elf and a wizard. So very odd choice there. Now, one thing is, if he plays something like that gives me enough mana, I may consider, even if it's a shaman, mana draining it. The mana drain will not counter the spell, but I'll still get the mana on my next turn. But as it turns out, I don't have to go that route. I'm able to get a sack land, and so I fetch Demonic Tutor, or I fetch a black for Demonic Tutor, and then I play Mana Crypt. From there, I go ahead and cast Winter Orb. I want to get down with some of these other cards, but I need to chill out on a mana drain for as long as possible. I can't think of any shamans I'm too scared of. Even though I can't counter that, you know, not too big of a deal here. So I draw for the turn and I get no land. But I decide I'm going to take a risk and tap. Oh, never mind. I tap for Trinket Mage. For Mox Opal, which allows me to tithe. Yeah, there we go. So still not giving him the window that he might be hoping he's going to get. I still have not tapped my blue mana, not even to cast like Kalni Gem, which would let me mana drain, but not if he countered the Kalni Gem, you know. So I'm just hanging behind that. And he taps for a ton of mana and plays a Treefolk Shaman with Persist, a nasty one. So he destroys Winter Orb. And I could have mana drained that just for the big glut of mana it would have given me, but at this point I'm already pretty flush, so it didn't make a lot of sense to do that. And I top deck Isochron. Now, the weird thing here is I want to Isochron the mana drain, but if he persists that Woodfall Primus, and this is going to be really bad for me because he's going to persist and kill the Isochron surely. It also means that if I want to hold the counter up, I can't cast Well this turn. So as long as he doesn't have a way to sacrifice this, I just have to make sure that I counter any way he can use to persist, and it'll probably be okay. He plays Masked Admirers, another thing that I can't really mana drain, so also being a shaman. But I mean, again, I could have mana drained it just for the mana, but yeah, not going to do it. So then he plays something that I can actually counter, and I do. And he uses the rest of his mana to play Beastmaster Ascension. This is going to cause me to actually misplay a little bit later in the game, so when it hits 7 counters, his creatures get huge. And I am just a little bit flooded, so I draw even more mana and go ahead and just play my Commander and my Well and chill out. So, yeah, there goes Beastmaster Ascension. So right here I could have blocked this, but why do that when he's going to be able to pick it up whenever he casts a creature and draw extra cards? I can afford to take a little bit of damage. Could have double blocked here, but he would have killed my guy and persisted and then killed my Isochron. That's no good. So I just have to let it all through. And so he goes for Magpie. I'm going to, of course, mana drain that. And he's got a window again. And he uses it to play Doubling Season, which will double the counters on Ascension, and that's something I didn't think about. So I end up paying for it with a lot of damage next turn, and look at this. So 3 cards, draw 1, 2, and 3, and then draw from my draw phase, and it's all freaking land. So I could Terminus here, but if I Terminus, I'm shutting my Well off. I definitely don't want to do that. So I decide, foolishly actually, to send Oloro in, thinking I'd start counting up the commander damage, encourage him to maybe hide, And also, like I said, I wasn't realizing this was going to go active, so I was thinking that I had a little bit of time. Since I wasn't blocking these anyway, I might as well just take some free damage or get him to block and kill his guy. But all of a sudden, rawr, everything gets huge, and then I mess up again. For some reason, I thought it gave them all trample as well, so I don't throw the Trinket Mage in front of them. I very well should have, this has trample, but I very well should have thrown it in front of this 8-7 and saved myself 8 points of damage, and I don't. So, total foolishness there. So draw a bunch of cards here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I get humility. So, deciding that I had enough with attacking and taking massive amounts of damage, I declare my attack step, empty that, cast humility. He takes the last counter off his guy, but it's big with Beastmaster Ascension, so the 0-0 is actually a 5-5, and then humility makes it a 1-1. This makes them all 6-6s. So everything he has is a 6-6. And all my guys are 1-1s. But none of his guys have trample anymore. So I say go. And he plays Cytoplast Ruin. Something with Graft 4, so I counter it because you don't want to let him have something with Graft, something that comes into play with counters on it. They're just even bigger under humility. You know, the thing is, I don't think that's what he played, though. Yeah, we're going to bug out. Because I would have let that go, to be honest, because of Terminus in my hand. He played something else. 1, 2, 3, some kind of removal spell or card drawing spell or something. Yeah. Anyway, so he played some kind of thing. I counter it, and then he attacks with his guys. I block, and then I Mystical Teachings for disenchant. I don't even think I disenchant that. No. Excuse me, I block and let it through. I take 6. Then he tries to cast his follow-up spell, and I Mystical Teachings for counterspell and counter it. Then on my turn, my Oloro is dead, which is what I want. So I'm able to well. I take some damage, but I well, and then Terminus all of his guys. I leave his Ascension and stuff in play. And then from there, it's pretty much elementary. I think I Teachings for Forbid, and he's like locked out. Or maybe I Mind Twist him and then use Scepter to keep him locked out that way. So... sorry, buggy. Moving on. So here I've got Carador as my opponent. This isn't my name. Piloting, and I mulligan because my hand just wasn't fast, and double mulligan because I had no mana in the next one, and keep this. And top deck a Mana Vault, which is totally awesome. So, yeah. Turn 2, I decided, no, I'm not going to copy Vault. I need the Vault effect once, not twice. And I draw Teachings, which is huge, because now I can teach and then tutor if I want to. He plays Orzhov's Signet, so I've got a copy artifact target there and decide I'm just going to chill out. Play the copy artifact and play Humility. That way, it's kind of like, puts him in a bad spot as far as creatures goes, and gives me the time to get a Winter Orb onto the table. So I do that, and with him having I basically shut off all creatures and lands. We're down to just playing a game of artifacts. He's can't keep up with that, and he gives up. So good double mulligan there. So here I'm playing against Tajik. Yep, Tajik, Blade of the Legion. And I keep a reasonably paced hand. Find myself a Colony Gem, which is nice, and a Strip Mine. Also nice, always good. So I took a little damage there, and he gets down Intrepid Hero. So I'm not going to be able to play my commander until that hero is dealt with. I'm just trying to go ahead and play the Worn Power Stone, and take some damage, and he plays his commander. Next turn, I go ahead and cast. Before I play a land, I cast Colony Gem, picking up 2 of my lands, and then I clone it, picking up 1 of my lands, and then I play my land for the turn and cast Chromatic Lantern. So I've got quite a bit of development going, and barring something like Vandal Blast, I'm in good shape. So now Tajik hits for 7 when he swings with 3 guys, so I'm dead in 2 more turns, 2 hits, due to commander damage. But it's time to start doing something about that. So I strip mine 1 of his lands just to get some tempo on him, play Vedalken Shackles, transmute for Demonic Tutor, and say go. I can't take his commander here because I only have the 1 land because of the Colony Gems, at least for the moment. But I can take Intrepid Hero. He can't tap it in response because there's no targets. And then I was thinking for some reason it would have haste, and I'd block here and then Intrepid Hero this thing. As you can see, it's about to be a 4-2. Gets plus X plus 0, X is the number of attackers. But of course that doesn't work because Intrepid doesn't have haste, so I take a little bit of damage there. That's fine. And he just plays another creature, Sunhome Enforcer, some sort of lifelink, fire-breathing thing. I played this way back in the day. I can't remember. It's been ages, but this was like in a format where there was a lot of like lightning bolts and weenie creatures. This guy was amazing because you could hold them off while potentially gaining life, and they had to double bolt it or attack into it, give you life, and then bolt it. These days, this is garbage. So I accidentally don't untap Shackles. Another misplay today. And oops, and then go ahead and Terminus. So not much of a big deal there, not untapping Shackles, since I was planning to do that anyway. So he plays Bully Rush Banneret, and I'm out of gas basically, but I still have my 6 mana Jam Day Tome waiting for me in the sideboard. So I go ahead and play Tezzeret, fetch up Crucible Worlds, strip mine his land, and play Vedalken Shackles' ability. And next turn, of course, I'm going to play my Oloro. What I'd like to do is I'd like to untap, use Tezzeret to double up on the mana here, and then probably do a similar play with Tezzeret again, and then at that point, after 2 turns, I would search for Scroll Rack and then ship away all these lands plus whatever other lands. I'd be drawing 2 cards off of Oloro, but I mean, I would be playing Strip Mine over and over, so lands stopped being useful to me. So Tezzeret was going to fix that for me in a couple of turns, but of course he gave up first. So that's fine. Vandal Blast there would have broken me off pretty hard, but I guess he didn't have it. So I'm playing against Daru Day, and I've got a Serra Ascendant draw, so we get to see how good that might or might not be for me. And he's got an insanely fast draw. So while Serra Ascendant looks pretty good, if he gets a fast controlling draw, the Ascendant's not going to matter, right? So we'll see how it works out. So I go ahead and play City of Brass instead of playing Serra Ascendant, even though I'm taking damage, because I drew that pool, and I'd like to be able to, if I draw a mana drain, I'd like to be able to, or a counter spell, I'd like to be able to, actually counter next turn. So if I had let off with the planes, I wouldn't be able to do that. But also because I may not want to make that play. Maybe I want to place, maybe I draw like say a tutor, Vampiric, one of the 1 mana tutors, and then I might want to play Strip Mine next turn and then cast the tutor. So since I didn't know, I went ahead and just used Strip Mine and took a little extra damage on turn 1. So he plays his Soul Ring, but that's all he's got this turn, which is kind of nice. So I go ahead and smash, dropping him down to 29, and then use Reflecting Pool, so that gives me a nice situation there. And Demonic Tutor for Guild Lotus. Since I drew Workshop, I need to catch up on mana. And he's got a Lotus of his own, sad to say, and then Damnation. So this is pretty nice. It was a 12-point life swing that, let's see, it prevented 2 damage to me, hit him for 6 and gained 6 for me, and then cost him a card, all for 1 mana. It seems like a pretty good deal, especially since he's got Mana Crypt, and the damage could matter, theoretically. So this turn I go ahead and just play my Lotus, and I impulse right away, trying to figure out what I want to do, and I'm pretty sure I would take Mystical Teachings here. Let's see, yep. And then cast my Expedition map now. The reason I played like that was because I wanted to get the map on the table. So I had to impulse instead of doing it as an instant and not playing map. So he plays Vrosh, which is bad, and a Skull Clamp, which isn't too bad. But I've got a little time. What I'm more afraid of is his insane amounts of mana and him drawing something to go with it. So I started attacking his mana base because I noticed he's struggling on blue other than Lotus, and I've got ways to deal with Lotus in my hand. Now, I can't just ignore Vrosh indefinitely because it's going to kill me in 2 hits. Yeah, so he goes, I think he thought he could pump as many times as he wants, realizes he can't, and goes ahead and just pumps him once. So I'm dead next turn. Well, 7 and 13 is 20. So I guess in theory I could live for one more turn, but that's assuming he had no way to pump it whatsoever. It's kind of a scary thing to assume. So he plays Planar Portal, and I Mystical Teachings for a Rift because I need to buy time. And then I go ahead and fetch a Metamorph, because not only do I need to buy time, I need to get enough mana to actually cast that Rift. So go ahead and Rift. And this stalls, but this isn't really a long-term solution. I'm glad Trinket Mage is gone, but he's going to be able to play his 0 mana and 1 mana ramp and just get right back on board here, and his Lotus. But Vrosh isn't there, and the portal's not there, and then he casts Mind Stone, Skull Clamp, and he draws a card. So Vrosh and the portal aren't there, so I've got a couple of turns to continue to try to find something. But as you can see, other than Mystical Teachings, I'm about out of options here. So I go ahead and Wasteland his blue, and I figured the play here is Mystical Teachings for Disenchant and kill his Lotus. So I do that. And now, I'm not too worried about Vrosh, but he does have the portal option, 2, 4, 5, 6. He can't even use Academy Ruins at this point because I've completely denied him access to blue mana. But he's got a lot of cards in hand, and one of them's a Breeding Pool, so down comes... much, much worse than Planar Portal for me. If that thing hits me and he kills both of my Lodi, I am in really bad shape. And I've got nothing. There's nothing I can flash back. It's all down to a top decking. And that's not what I drew. God dang it, we're gonna glitch. What a great game this used to be. So, yeah, we're gonna glitch out. This is sad. Okay, so what I drew off the top, I reached out and peeled Seal of Cleansing. So I cast 3, 6, 7, 8. I know that this isn't how I played this out. So I'm pretty sure it was Seal of Cleansing. Yeah. Yeah, this is all wrong. This isn't what happened at all. Where's the glitch? This is all wrong. I peeled Seal of Cleansing, so I play Seal of Cleansing and my commander, and then on his turn he ends up casting Planar Portal and attacking with... What does he do? No! He makes a misplay. I don't know what he was thinking, but he pumps his Steel Hellkite and then swings with it with just enough mana to activate it and kill my Gilded Lotus, I guess? Yeah, he pumps it once and then swings with it with 5 up. And I go ahead and sack... I sack Seal of Cleansing and kill it. I give him 2 cards and he doesn't find a land, and so he's not able to play his Planar Portal because he only has 5 mana. He plays something else, it doesn't matter that much. He doesn't deal with Oloro. Now my turn I get to start drawing 2 cards, and I draw 2. Is that right? No, I'm sorry. Off the 2 he draws a land, and he plays Planar Portal. So on my turn I'm in a lot of trouble, and I'm able to draw 2 cards though off of Oloro. And the second card, the last card, is Yawgmoth's Will. So I will, and Yawgmoth's Will lets me replay... Oh, yeah, that's right. I don't remember. Oh, he had Mox Opal, that's what it was. So he played a Karoo. He played Dimer Aqueducts. Picked up, I think, Academy Ruins, and played Mox Opal, and then cast his Portal. So anyway, on my turn, I cast Will. So I will, using a Lotus, and then 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and the shop. I'm able to tap for 4 and cast Disenchant and Seal of Cleansing, which I had sacrificed, which was this. Disenchant, Seal of Cleansing, boom, boom. I Wasteland his Dimer Aqueducts, which was replacing this. So boom, boom, boom. 6 of his mana all dies. I tap 2... Oh! Maybe I'm a turn off, because actually 2, 4, 5, 6, 7... Yeah. I'm a turn off. He didn't play Planar Portal. He played Kozilek and drew 4. But anyway, on that turn that he played Kozilek and drew 4, I willed kill this, kill his Dimer Aqueducts. It shuts off his Mox Opal because he has no more artifacts in play. I cast Iconic Rift, returning Kozilek to his hand. Wasteland his Aqueducts, and then tap for 3 and activate the map off of Workshop. And then 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, and then I Demonic Tutor and with my last mana play Serra Ascendant. And so remember I have Oloro in play, so I attack with Oloro and hit him for 4, taking him down to 14. 14. I want to say he's at 13, because I had used Oloro's pay 1 life, ability. And so then on his turn he plays a sack land and goes to 12 and plays Planar Portal, and I've got Oloro and Ascendant in play. And then so he's at 12, and then during my upkeep Oloro gives me 2 life, which triggers Oloro's, I'll show you, it triggers Oloro's, whenever you gain life you may pay 1. So I pay 1, that drops him from 12 to 11. I draw a card. I attack with Oloro and Serra Ascendant, which does 10 damage to him and takes him to 1. But then Ascendant gains life, which triggers Oloro life gain clause, and I draw another card, and that deals the full 12 damage to him. And he goes from 12 to dead, just like that. And so yeah, even though he got, unfortunately you didn't get to see it, but he got the Kozilek into play, I ended up winning that game. Sorry I had to go through that whole description, but it was kind of hard to piece it together there. So anyway, it was a pretty great game though. He pushed this deck as hard as it gets, and it was only that double top deck of drawing 2 cards and finding a seal, then drawing 2 and finding a will that saved me. So anyhow, here I have what would be a stellar hand if I had a mana crypt, crypt, monolith, opal, madness, but I have to take a mulligan. And this is a very playable hand. So what I could do is play a land and then vault into Crypt, and then Crypt into Fact or Fiction and hit a land that way, and then follow it up with Future Sight. So when you look at a hand, you want to look at what your gameplay is. But I decided that even though I could do that, for whatever reason, I want to try for something a little less, a little faster basically, and I mulligan, and then this is no good. And then this is not faster at all. But I am going to hit a land drop for 4 turns, and I decided if you're going to mulligan to 4, I guess I'll have to keep that. So fortunately I find a seal in case he does anything broken. This Spawning Pit, it's not exactly broken, but it could be useful for him just because it's going to allow him to continue to kill his guys, which will reduce the cost of Carador over time. So I draw, and then because I get Enlightened Tutor, I don't play the Seal of Cleansing. He fetches a land, and so now there's 1 counter on Spawning Pit. And I use the Enlightened Tutor to try to refill my hand. I go get Dark Tutelage, get Tutelage down across my fingers, and hope he doesn't have Acidic Slime. And he's got Reaper of the Wild. So when a creature dies, he gets to scry, it can give it Death Touch, and he can give it Hexproof. And again, this is just a series of me screwing up, but I don't read the fact that he can get it Hexproof. So I give him a chance to actually hurt me with that in a few turns, you'll see. So this turn I draw Merchant Scroll, and I go get Mana Drain because I just want to protect Dark Tutelage. This is going to hit me for some damage for now, and that's okay. So yeah, he hits me for some damage, and then he plays Sadistic Hypnotist. And I thought about just letting him have it. I mean, he's going to take Seal and a land. Yeah, whoop-de-doo. But I might want to Seal for this Spawning Pit, and hey, 5 mana lets me cast Oloro next turn, so I counter it. And he plays Viscera Seer. So I get swords, and here's where I messed up a little bit, and a land. So I go ahead and cast Seal and kill this right now. If he wants to kill his guys in response, I'm all for that. He doesn't. Now I can plow his creatures, and I don't have to worry about him getting replacement creatures. So I spend a bunch of mana, and the correct play for me right now is kill this before I can give it Hexproof, and I missed that. I completely brain fart on it. And I was thinking, oh wait, I'll kill it later. I don't want to kill it now because he'll get to scry and it'll improve his next draw. I want to wait. And because if you look at the card on the table and not the card in the thing here, the fact that he can give it Hexproof, it doesn't show up. You see that? So I just completely screw that up. But I'm not punished by the screw up because he plays Carador prior to attacking, and so I'm able to just block, let him give his guy Death Touch, and then swords it in response. He of course scries in response, and my Oloro lives. So now I'm up to 3 cards per turn. The mulligan is fixed, and I find a Future Sight, and so that comes down, and I'm done for the turn. And actually, at this point in the game, if you look, well, he can recur cards. I mean, Hypnotist, Granger, Reaper, none of these cards really are that threatening to me. So if that's all he's got, I am okay with that. So he goes ahead and... The neat thing about Hypnotist, so I didn't realize this either, is he can sack any creature to make me discard. That's pretty savage. This thing could be like a Mind Twist. I actually think this is a pretty damn good card, worthy of consideration in any deck that also is playing green. Just because you could have a lot of trumps and then just slam him down and boom, 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 twist away their hand. And then they can't hold cards either. Anyway, so I draw Fortress, of course, draw for the turn, and look at that, Humility, Wall of Lost Dreams, Counterspell on top, down comes Humility, and I'll just chill out here. As soon as I get a chance to get rid of my Oloro, I will, so that I can start using my well. Meanwhile, I'll just live off of Tutor and Future Sight. And yeah, classic claim of the loser. I'll put up with Mana Drain, but Humility's boring. I'm glad he, put up with Mana Drain. I mean, he obviously could have stopped it if he wanted to, but he tolerated it. I feel so grateful for his putting up with, Magic cards in a game of Magic. Anyway, no, I don't. So finally, my last game I'm playing against Animar, and I've got a pretty solid hand because I've got Map and Wasteland, which means I basically have 2 Wasteland effects, and he plays Utopia Sprawl despite the map. How awesome for me. So I go ahead and just play Wasteland, telegraphing here, but I play Grim Monolith, and if he plays a non-basic land, what I'm going to want to do is I may want to Wasteland and activate Grim Expedition Map. So this way, next turn what I can do is I can tap for 3, Map for Strip, Waste and Strip, and then use the 2 mana to cast Isochron and Imprint Vampiric, or cast Seal of Cleansing, depending on the way I want to play it out. So that's why I played the Wasteland there and not like City of Brass or Isochron Wastes. So he doesn't play a non-basic though, so it's safe for me to draw, and then I just go get Strip Mine and kill his, get a 2-for-1 on him. And then, what a crazy guy. He plays Is It Boiler Works with a Wasteland in play. That's just ludicrous. So, yeah, I play Seal of Cleansing in case he's going to get anything to, in case he might get like Soul Ring or whatever. And then during my upkeep, I have Vampiric Tutor for Staff of Nin, interestingly, not Crucible of Worlds. But I go get Staff so that I can start drawing extra cards, and I can shoot this thing, and I'm going to Metamorph. I'm going to have double Staff going, and what is he going to do now? Nothing. He's going to give up. Crucible probably would have won, but he could always like play to Forest and then had a 2/2 Animar, cast like a Llanowar Elf, had a 2/2 Animar, and then continued to grow from there. By getting Staff, there's no way that you can get a Mana Dork into play. Cleans this off so that it's good, like no matter what. This is harder for me to kill normally because it's pro white and black, unlike some of my other decks. I have very few actual blue solutions, so being able to kill with an artifact is really good. Yeah, like I said, I had Metamorph in my hand, so that's why I went that route. Anyway, here's another peek at the deck list for those of you that like to wait till the end of the videos and see them. Like I said, so far, Serra Ascendant and Dark Confidant, 2 completely insane cards, and I took out Mana Leak and Sculpting Steel. Very powerful, very flexible cards, but I don't think anyone's ever described them as being completely insane or degenerate. I think that these cards, which deserve that title, are probably most deserved of being in one of the most degenerate decks of the format. We might as well make it even more disgusting, and we might as well have additional advantages over people who are unable to play these colors, like Edric. How good is it to play Serra Ascendant when you're playing against an Edric deck, for example? So, anyway, that's it. I hope you enjoyed the games, and I'll see you next time. Thank you for watching.